street lights lit this town like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now.
Sorry, scratching my face there. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live. If I saw you earlier today, welcome back for another live. Hopefully this one won't be as boring as that court proceeding was today, but apparently we missed out on some stuff, I guess, that happened. So we're going to go over that and then some. So get comfortable, hang out, chill with us. If you're new to the channel or if you're not new, I'm going to ask you before I forget, please hit the thumbs up for me if you guys don't mind. The faster we do that, the faster we can get into the algorithm. So it'll really help the channel out. It really helps me out. So thank you guys. Also, before we get started and before I start reading off names, I'm going to put the link for the membership in the chat. If you guys would like to join our channel membership, we'd love to have you. And I'll pin it to the top that way. If you decide throughout the live, like, hey, I want to be a member, it'll be up there. It'll be up there. Hey, Nancy, how are you? It's been a long time. It's been a long time. And I don't know how I did that, but starring little comments already. But it's good to see everybody. Like I said, welcome in. Earlier today, we did stream part of the hearing. We streamed like the first like three hours or so. And then they were going to go on to lunch and then come back. But I heard that when they came back, they like shut down the proceedings and they were like talking like, on the DL without us knowing. So I want to know what they said. I'm curious. But let's welcome in some people, and then that'll get us, everybody will get in here, get comfortable, get their drinks, get their seats all ready, and then we'll get started. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, baby girl, welcome in. Hey, Olga. It's good to see ya. Your 85-year-old daddy. Oh, Olga, you're so blessed. You're so blessed. Oh, I bet he has the good stories. Hey, Dawn. Welcome in. We had someone in our chat. I can't think of her name right now because it was a long time ago, but her dad was in his 90s. And I remember her taking him out for his like 90 something birthday. Do you guys remember that? Who it was? I can't remember. He lives a block away from your house. That's meant to be. Oh man. Yeah. I lost my parents early in life, but I always love hearing people say like, I just saw my mom or saw my dad, and they're like, they're older, and I love that. Hey, Boone. We're like on the final countdown to hitting 20,000 subscribers also. I just saw Ladybug said something in the chat. So we need, I believe, 6 or 7 more. I think 7 more. Yeah, 7 more, I think. Yeah, 7. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We're getting really close. I'm getting itchy over here. Hey, Captain, welcome in. Now it'll happen when it happens, but we are very close, and it's been a journey. It's been a good journey though. Hey, Warflare. Hey, Kathy. Welcome in, everyone. Hey, Cyber Warrior. Baby girl said I'm back. Someone said that they liked my name today, and I don't know who it was. It was someone in the comment section if they're in the chat, but thank you. I forgot to comment back. I was going to tell you why my name was my name because TitaniumBuilt doesn't really sound like a true crime name, and it's not. It's just because I'm built with like titanium. I've got a lot of titanium in my body, and I didn't know where this channel was going to go. And then it went towards true crime, and I love it. So we just kept the name Mia Mori. And I think that you have to have some titanium in you, almost to, like, put up with some of the stuff that we see. Hey, Willows. You don't matter to me, do you? You have the longest name. It's good to see you. Hey, Tony. I think I got everybody. And Nancy, it's so good to see you. Hey, DM. Hey, Squeaky. Right. Yeah, he's pissed. He mad. He is mad. Hey, Margot. In the bushes. Did I miss anybody? I think I did. Hey, Debbie. I'm not down to the bottom yet. Hey, True Crime Lullabies. Yeah, so you think Brian has multiple personalities? Well, I mean, it would explain a little. It would explain a little. Thank you so much, Ladybug. She just gifted out 5 memberships. That's so incredibly kind. Thank you. And welcome on in, everybody. Cougar, A Curious Rose, Can I Kick It? And Sean got one, and Gerald. Well, welcome on in, everybody. Thank you. That's so nice. Hey, Princess. I'm here. So yeah, that's actually what I wanted to start off the live with today, to talk about that. So the Dateline episode came out last Friday, or was it last Friday? Yeah, last Friday. And we all talked about it. Everybody talked about it. I even had, and I wish I wouldn't have, instead of like, I had it on a Google sheet. And so tonight, I just did it tonight too. I deleted all my notes. I shouldn't have done that. I should have kept all those notes from the Dateline episode because they would have come in handy because we could have went through them tonight. But I got something better for us to listen. We have something to listen to. That'll give us the episode details. But because apparently they were true, we kind of knew like the surveillance footage that looked like it was, the same car that had been cruising around the Linda Lane the Linda Lane footage kind of matched with that. I don't think anybody really thought, like, for the most part, thought that it was like, I don't know. I think for the most part, people took it like it as like maybe like half truth or mostly true. But then there were some people out there that are like, no, Dateline's just trying to get ratings. They're just trying to get numbers, not our Brian. Our Brian wouldn't do this. Things like that. So then you have those people, and it's coming out to seem like all the stuff in the Dateline episode was real, because that's what the judge is kind of saying in a way. So I have another question for you guys in a moment too about the knife. So the judge in the Idaho student killings demands records held following the leak. And I'll read you, I have a document that he put out to, he already had it typed up. Like he mad. He is big mad. He had it typed up for the defense and for the prosecution. And on Twitter right now, it depends on if you think that like Brian is innocent or guilty. That's based off of who's they're blaming for like the leak. They're like, look, the judge put this for the prosecution. They leaked something, but it's like, no, he wrote one to the prosecution and the same exact one to the defense. And like, so it's been kind of wild. It's like the Wild West over there. But this will give us the facts on what's going on. So it says a judge overseeing the pretrial hearings for Brian Kohlberger, the former criminology grad student accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022, ordered prosecutors and defense attorneys Thursday to preserve records after an apparent leak made its way into a Dateline NBC episode last week. Judge Stephen Hippler also requested more information on a proposed defense argument that there are possible alternate perpetrators during one of the last hearings before the trial goes ahead later this summer. Kohlberger, 30, was seen in the courtroom at the hearing Thursday morning on a live stream, seated in between his attorneys wearing a white shirt with a dark patterned tie. I don't know why they just, when they put him in just like the regular white shirt and not like a suit jacket over it, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to make him look like there, but like, I don't know. He just looks a little off. Like he looks like he needs to have a jacket on. I don't know why. I mean, he don't really need to, but I just feel like he should. So he faces 4 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Madison Mogan, Kayla Gonzalez, Anna Coronel, and Ethan Chapin, who were fatally stabbed in their off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho, in the overnight hours of November 13th, 2022. Kohlberger was arrested in the killings over a month later in his home state of Pennsylvania, and not guilty plea was entered on his behalf in 2023 at May. The lurid case has riveted the public and has already been featured in multiple true crime documentaries. So many. Still, prosecutors have not outlined his potential motive, and a sweeping gag order has kept the parties from speaking publicly, making each pretrial hearing an opportunity to quench the public's thirst to learn more details. The public's desire for inside knowledge on the case was addressed in an order filed by Hippler Thursday, which reprimanded all parties involved for potentially leaked information that was featured in an Dateline NBC special Friday. He didn't just like let it slide and not act like he didn't see or hear that episode. He was like, no, we're going to address this. So the special featured extensive records from Kohlberger's phone, including internet and Amazon searches, Instagram photos, and cell phone tower data, according to the order. Dateline also obtained security footage showing a car driving near the off-campus home around the same time investigators think the murders occurred. In the scathing orders, Hippler said the leak will have lasting repercussions, and it is imperative to attempt to see that the source of such leak is identified and held to account. Man, I don't want to be that person. Who do you think did it? Do you think it was on the defense's side? Do you think it was on the prosecution side? I mean, seems like it would hurt the defense, right? So like, I don't know though. Such violations not only undermine the rule of law, potentially by persons charged with upholding it, but also significantly impede the ability to seat an impartial jury. Both orders said adding the leak will add additional cost and time to select a jury. Importantly, such violations potentially frustrate the ability to ensure both sides receive a fair trial. Both the prosecution and the defense are ordered to retain all records relevant to the leaked information and submit a list within 7 days of who on their team came into contact with the relevant evidence. Prosecutors are also required to come up with a written plan on how to identify any potential violations and how to prevent it from happening again. Oh, look at that. Chosen, you've been a member for that long? Wow, look at that. 14 months. That's amazing. Thank you for being a member for so long. Hey, Aries. Hey, Betsy. I was on the other page rated. So if I didn't say Heidi, I'm sorry. Yeah, the carving of Ethan's legs, Nancy's a bit much. Like the only thing I can think of was like he was trying to like cut to keep him from like being able to get up. But like that wouldn't really be carving. You know what I mean? That would be more like slashing, I would say. Like I would categorize that as like a slashing, not like a carving. A carving sounds like like physically going into the skin and like you know what I mean? Like carving. I even said he wasn't a jack-o'-lantern. Like what the hell? Unless the carving was after death, it could have been. Oh man. And thanks for telling people to hit the like. I appreciate that. It could have been. I think that, hey, is she? I think he might have actually sat down there, maybe, just maybe to change. Like to sit down and like take the boot covers off, switch out the boot covers. Maybe have a little knapsack with him, like one of those little book bags, those little knapsack book bags. You wouldn't be able to tell someone has that on their back if they're walking towards you. Those little like straps, you can hide those like kind of when you're walking. Yeah, like to change. Because I mean, you would be exhausted too. But I mean, you'd have to change your clothes. I would change. I would think he would change inside the house before he left. Only because that's a pretty busy, like little part of like the campus. Even though it's like off campus, it's still like really busy through there. And I would just feel like I would be I don't know. I wouldn't do this, but I would be too nervous to be out by my car, like taking off bloody clothing and, I don't know. But I mean, he could have. And then if he did it outside, wouldn't there be like a trail? Like, you know what I mean? Even it wasn't snowing or anything at that time, but you would still think there'd be a trail. I mean, there was probably a lot of biologicals in that house. I can only imagine. I mean, 4 people getting knifed to death. I mean, that's, So it says here, where are we at? Both the prosecution and the defense ordered to retain all retain all records relevant to the leaked information and submit a list within 7 days. I think I read this part. Of who on the team came into contact with the relevant evidence. Prosecutors are also required to come up with a written plan on how to identify any potential violations and how to prevent it from happening again. Okay. Jury selection is scheduled to begin in late July, with the trial slated to start August 11th. If convicted, Kohlberger could face the death penalty. And then he did have another date, May 23rd. So recent pretrial hearings have touched on the admissibility of key pieces of evidence, including Kohlberger's autism diagnosis, DNA analysis, his Amazon purchase history, and a witness description of the suspect's bushy eyebrows. Kohlberger's legal team has previously said it plans to present evidence of alternate perpetrators ahead of trial. So I guess they're going to keep that really hush-hush now until trial. Like, we're not going to know. But I figured we probably wouldn't know anyway, but I read that somewhere else that they're going to keep it tight-lipped. So, June 18th. So I said May 23rd. So it says here, Hippler on Thursday set a hearing on the issue for June 18th. Yeah, I have it wrote down at 12:30. But I think it's I don't think it's going to be where Kohlberger's in the courtroom and we can watch it. Hippler said he would seal, the defense's proffer about other suspects in the case and ask the defense attorney to provide him with whatever actual evidence you have that supports these allegations rather than just allegations, and to show what the evidence is admissible by May 23rd. Okay, so, okay. Well, yeah, you better get your butts working. You got 8 days, so. During Thursday's hearing, Hippler broke down the trial process in stages, discussing matters including jury selection, hours for the trial, and seating within the trial courtroom. And there is that courtroom is tiny, in my opinion. It was kind of full today compared to other times that we've been in there. There's been like 5 people hanging out in there. Normally, every trial I've ever watched, like in the beginning, it has a slow start and then it picks up in the middle. This one's already like picking up and we're not even at trial yet. Like that was a lot of people. I mean, Brian Denton even said like he was kind of having a hard time getting in himself. So good luck to anybody that's trying to go. I hope no one took vacation time off to actually go to the trial, because it looks like it's going to be a mess to try to get in there and have a seat. I would ninja my way in there somehow. I'd figure it out for you guys. It looked packed today, didn't it? Like I was thinking of like Alec Murdaugh's trial. Like I remember the first like week, maybe it wasn't the whole week. Maybe it wasn't a whole week, but it was at least I'd say a week or 2. It was like nobody was really in there. Other than Nancy Grace showed up. She was staring at him like if looks could kill. But that courthouse was big. And it filled up. I mean, it was full. Oh, they can live stream outside. Yeah, but the judge said just like don't make any make it to where people can't, I guess, get to and from where they need to be, which I can see live streamers doing that. Like just being in the way. I don't know. But he says, I'm not a fan of surprises. Well, you got one on Friday when you got home. The judge directed to the defense team that he would like to get back from them a declaration of the last best offer, referring to a possible. Hold on. What? Okay, I didn't even know there was an offer even, like, what? Okay, the judge directed to the defense team that he would like to get back from them a declaration of the last best offer, referring to a possible plea deal from prosecutors by late June or early July. In other words, identifying whether the defendant received an offer and whether he has accepted or rejected it. I wonder if they're going to even offer him. So prosecutors aren't required to entertain a plea deal to bargain away the death penalty, but often they do. Whether Kohlberger is actually considering a plea deal in the killing of 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th, 2022 is unknown. What do you guys think? Do you think if Bill Thompson went in there, offered him life in prison, you tell me everything you did, I want to know every single detail, I want to know how it started, who was the target, why you did it, we want to know it all, and you get life in prison, do you think he'd take it? I don't know if he would. I mean, he should probably, but yeah, they better talk to the family before all this. But yeah, I guess it's just that's the next part in the trial process is to, I mean, can you imagine like if they did give him one and then he rejected it? Like, oh man, my dog is back here whistling through her neck. She's she's so funny. Mia, sleeping? There you are. Hello. She was sleeping good. She just, like every time she like breathes out, like it's like a whistling noise. So yeah, prosecutors, they said that they're not required to entertain that. So for jury selection, the judge outlined his plan to assign a scramble number to each person within the universe of jurors, who will then receive questionnaires. Hippler stressed the security and confidentiality of those questionnaires. Hippler decided there will be 8 alternates and told counsel he wants a pool of between 50 to 55 final jurors from which 12 jurors and 8 alternates totaling 20 jurors will be selected. Wow. So half y'all going to be going bye-bye. Half of you, or, some of you are going to be staying. Well, more than half. I mean, 12, 20. Yeah. So yeah, more than half. Alternates will not be decided until deliberations, and a lottery will determine the alternates. Man. The trial is expected to be live streamed after jury selection. Both sides discussed witnesses that may not want to appear on camera, including the surviving roommates. Hippler responded by saying the roommates are victims of the burglary. He added there is a compelling interest to protect victims in the courtroom, and that if victims request it, their faces won't be shown. However, he said he would have to be convinced not to show the other witnesses on the live stream because of the public interest in the case. Love us for that, The best way that we have to ensure the public is accepting of whatever verdict may be reached in this case is for the public to have the ability to see the evidence, Hippler said. I love that for us. The trial will run Monday through Friday, beginning at 8:45 a.m. and ending at 3:30 p.m. local time. If the jury becomes sequestered, Hippler said he is likely to extend those hours. He noted they may ultimately need to sequester jurors once the trial goes to deliberations. Well, yeah, when they're in deliberations, I would think they would be sequestered, right? Hippler ordered the seats be reserved inside the courtroom for the surviving roommates. I don't know whether they would have any desire to be here. I suspect not, given the way they've been treated in the media. But if they do that, they would have seats available, he said. Seating will also be reserved for family members of the victims and for Koberger family members. And I think that Anne was trying to get 2 more seats. Now, I think it was for like people that was working for her, but not working for her. I don't know. But she did ask about that. So the possibility of the death penalty hangs over the case. If he is convicted of capital murder, Koberger could then face a death penalty phase in which the jury will consider further evidence and decide whether he is sentenced to death or a lesser punishment, life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge will receive capital punishment case instructions in the pre-proof phase of the trial, the judge said. If there's a guilty verdict on any of the murder counts, the penalty phase will likely begin the next day, Hippler said, given that the jury will certainly be sequestered during that process. And we already know how we got here, so I won't read through this. I think that's the end of it. I was just reading. Actually, I was reading this like part. It's just all stuff that we knew. All stuff that we already know right there. But yeah, I get to the ducking point. Welcome in. I love this judge. I do. I really do. I like this judge a lot. I think that he's completely different than Judge John Judge. Judge, I would have loved to, like, if I ever got in trouble, like, he would be a good, like, judge if you got, like, a speeding ticket. You know what I mean? You need to go, like, sit in front of him and be like, hey, help me out with the speeding ticket. Or I could see him even doing well with, like, drug cases or something, like helping people get healthy and, like, clean and doing all that. But this, I feel like, was just too big of a case for him. And I think that it needed to be in a bigger county. I think it needed to be out of Latah County also, just because, I mean, it is so small. When you take the college students out and, you just have just regular people there, there's like, like 10,000, 20,000 people that live there. I think there's like not even that much more with the students, like there's not that many people that live in that area. I don't think they would have been able to get an impartial jury there. And then after the defense, sent out the questionnaire that they weren't supposed to send out, they never asked the judge to send that, if they could send that out, that kind of put a damper on that situation also. Oh, look at this. Let me see. Oh, okay. I just saw, like, I'm still like, and I'm in the Diddy case still. That case is crazy, but they were just saying that, they were talking about Justin Bieber breaking his silence. And I was like, what? What is this? What's going on over here? Was he touched? But he's saying that he wasn't bothered by him. So, hey, Miriam. Oh, you're at work. Too bad. Did you get your project done, is she? Yeah, not this case. Yeah. I mean, the judge was a good judge. He was good, for not for this though, I liked Judge Marshall, the first judge, the lady. I liked her a lot. I thought she was great. Was that her name? I think that was her name. So, Idaho bombshells, Brian Kohlberger names another suspect. Who's going to be the alternate suspect that he is going to claim that is the real killer? I wonder. I don't know. But it says Brian Kohlberger was named has named an alternate suspect who he claims is the real killer of the 4 University of Idaho students in a bombshell move just weeks before he goes on trial for his life. The quadruple homicide suspect returned to a courtroom in Ada County, Idaho, Thursday morning, where Judge Stephen Hippler is expected to make a series of last-ditch decisions that will shape his looming capital murder trial this summer. In an 11th hour move to save him from the firing squad, the 30-year-old suspected killer's defense took the explosive step of pointing the finger at another suspect. Who this suspect is and what evidence the defense has that could tie them to the brutal murders remains a mystery. The judge ordered that the filing remains under seal, keeping it cloaked in secrecy until trial. That's where I read that. So we won't find out until trial. So, and I bet you they don't have an alternate suspect, because if they did, they would already have the evidence on the desk of the judge. Get my client out of here. Go over. This is how we got to him. Arrest this guy. You know what I mean? I think that if she had that evidence, she would, have it on the judge's desk by now. But he said he also ordered the defense to provide for me how it is you believe that what you're offering is admissible at trial. The state will then have until June 6th to respond to the defense's claims before the two sides battle it out in a hearing later that month. The judge will then rule whether or not the jury can hear about the alternate suspect at trial. So I hope we can hear about that. I hope we can hear about the ruling, if they're allowed to use it or not. Even if we don't know who the alternate suspect is right away. I mean, I wonder if we'll be able to know that part. Because that would be pretty bombshell, right? I mean, if they could get up enough evidence to make it look like this guy did it instead of Brian, or this girl did it instead of Brian, or these people. We'll see though. The explosive move from Kohlberger's team comes less than a week after bombshell new details emerged in the case, including his phone calls to family members after the murders, his chilling corn choices, and disturbing online searches about serial killer Ted Bundy. Kohlberger is facing the death penalty if convicted of the brutal murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xander Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. There he is in court today with his white shirt, sitting between the ladies now. Jay's out. Wonder why Jay's out. Why did Jay Logston, why isn't he working this case anymore? I want to know. Maybe after trial we'll find out, but maybe he'll do an interview or something. He's very, very handsy, that Jay Logston. Apparently Brian didn't want, a male there. Yeah, he did lay out the rules. Thanks, Ishi. We were getting a little bored on that one. I feel like I was like, where's the exciting stuff? Just kind of funny. Cause usually there's usually it was just usually a little more exciting than today, but it was okay. We got through it. And I had so much stuff I could have been up around doing. And I was just in here watching it with you guys. Other than when I took the dogs out for a walk. So the 4 University of Idaho students were all slaughtered in a horror knife attack. I should say like horrific. I feel like in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, inside an off-campus student home at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, that the 3 women shared with 2 other roommates. The 2 roommates, Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen, survived, with Mortensen coming face to face with the masked killer inside the home that haunting night. On December 30th, 2022, around 6 weeks on from the massacre, Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and charged with the murders. He stood silent at his arraignment, and a not guilty plea was entered on his behalf. Now, after more than 2 years of delays and legal wranglings, including the trial being moved to another county, the suspected killer who struck terror into the heart of a safe, tight-knit college town is finally heading to trial. Jury selection is slated to begin July 30th, with the trial going underway August 11th. And it seems like when you look at the court calendar, because there's only like a couple more dates, until like trial, it just seems like it's coming so fast. And it will come fast, I feel like. So during Thursday's hearing, the judge began by going through the nuts and bolts of how the trial will take shape and warning both sides that he doesn't want evidence issues to crop up and cause delays once it's underway. I am not a fan of surprises, as you may have figured that out by now, he warned. The judge outlined the jury selection process, revealing his plan. He plans to have 8 alternates as opposed to the typical number of 6. I was going to say that earlier. Just being overly prepared. That's what I would be too, with a case like this. So taking the full panel up to 20. And I think he said that they were going to have laminated cardstock, which is just thicker paper, like resume kind of paper. I have some that I use for like signs and stuff like that. But they're going to have cardstock with their like the number on it. Because she was like, are they going to have paddles that they could like hold up with their number? I ain't never seen that, but in like the movies. Maybe they have it out in Idaho, but he was like, no. He's like, we've got some index cardstock. I was like, huh. They go on the cheap route. The judge outlined, I read that, sorry. Such a cute picture of all them. He said he would not go into specific details about the jury questionnaires and instructions during the public hearing so as not to impact potential panelists. However, what potential jurors know about the case, their views on the death penalty, and any media bias they have will be key questions in selecting the jury. The judge said that he does not intend to sequester the jury, but that could change if necessary once the trial gets underway. He also warned both sides that if they bump into any members of the jury outside court during the trial, to run the other way and report it. Just run. That's funny. I mean, really, like, can you see Bill Thompson running down the hallway screaming, I see a juror. But I mean, you might have to, right? The jury selection process will not be live streamed, but the rest of the trial will be. I don't think do they ever televise the jury selection process? I don't think they ever really do they? He also warned, Prosecutor Bill Thompson asked the judge for the live stream video to be turned off for a number of the witnesses, such as the surviving roommates, as well as the members of law enforcement whose identity should remain secret. The judge agreed that as victims, Mortensen and Funk can have their faces shielded during their testimony if they wish. Seating will also be reserved for the 2 survivors, as well as the victims' families and Kohberger's immediate family members in the courtroom for the duration of the trial. I'm pretty sure he said that he would like blur their faces, but not their voices. Like he had to or maybe he's going to take it up for advisement, but I think he said that he was going to leave the voices on the record. If Kohberger is convicted of the murders, the penalty phase, where the jury will decide whether or not to send him to death row, will likely start the next day, the judge said. Jurors will be sequestered for that phase. I wonder how long that phase lasts, like as long as they takes them to make a decision. The judge gave both sides until around early July to tell the court if any sort of plea deal is offered to Koberger. Judge Hippler also revealed that issues about a potential violation of the gag order had been raised during a closed-door hearing earlier Thursday. A gag order of some sorts, known as a non-dissemination order, has been in place since the early days of the case. It bans attorneys representing parties, victims, or witnesses from speaking about the case in a way that could have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing or otherwise influencing the outcome of the case. It is not clear which side raised the issue or why, but it comes days after a new Dateline episode aired revealing never-before-seen details about Koberger's cell phone records, calls, and photos found on his phone. Judge Hippler said he is ordering both sides to retain their records in this case and is open to an appointment of a special prosecutor who could subpoena witnesses to dig into the matter. As part of the hearing, the judge could make a decision on some final pieces of evidence jurors might see at trial. Among the final pieces of evidence still at play is Koberger's eerie criminology research paper. And I want to read that again to you guys sometime soon. Intricately detailing a fictional crime scene about a woman being stabbed to death at a trailer park. Phone records and bank transactions for both the accused killer and some of his alleged victims, as well as surveillance footage from locations close to the crime scene, are also likely to be discussed. The high-profile trial is expected to last around 3 months, barring the sentencing phase. If convicted, Koberger faces the death penalty, and following recent changes in Idaho state law, he may even face the firing squad. I think more states are probably going to follow that, just because they can't get the medications. So to date, 13 separate defense efforts to take the death penalty off the table have been denied by the judge, including one where they cited his autism diagnosis as a reason to block capital punishment from the case. Oh, and last night I made an error. He doesn't have an IQ of 140. It's 119. So almost 120. So there's that. The judge has also dealt a series of other blows to Koberger's defense strategy in the recent weeks, ruling that jurors can hear the harrowing 911 call made by the victim's surviving roommates and see their panic text after Mortensen saw the masked killer inside their home. The judge also ruled against Koberger in allowing Mortensen to describe the man inside her home using the term bushy eyebrows. Jurors will also be able to see Koberger's Amazon shopping history, which prosecutors say reveals he bought a K-bar knife, sheath, and sharpener from Amazon back in March 2022. I want to know where the sharpener is. I mean, if you can't give us the knife sheath or the knife. Speaking of which, I heard something, let me know if you guys heard this, but I heard something today that they are going to bring the knife in the courtroom and put it in a glass box. Did anyone else hear that? Because, do they have the knife? Or is it going to be like a replica K-bar knife? Like, are they talking about like bringing in a replica to show people what the murder weapon looks like, what they think the murder weapon would look like? Or is it more of like, we have the knife, that's what number 1 is on the search warrant that just says knife, and we don't want y'all to know until trial? Replica? Okay, Druds for like, thank you. Because I was like, do they have that murder weapon? I'm thinking it's just the same, but you never know. I'm just wondering, because that one on the search warrant, number 1, it says knife, and then it doesn't say anything else. It doesn't say like the other knives that they listed Blue Ridge knife, foldable knife, or like foldable pocket knife or something. Like they had them more detailed, and then the first one is just knife. So I don't know. He could have been eating on an apple. I don't know. Who knows? But we'll find out. We're going to find out sooner than later. That's nice. So A matching sheath was found next to Mogen's body, with DNA on the sheath being traced back to Koberger. The murder weapon has never been found. Since the last court hearing in April, it has come to light that Koberger placed a series of phone calls to his dad, Michael Koberger, just 2 hours after the horror stabbing spree. The 30-year-old criminology PhD student called his dad 3 times on the morning of November 13th, 2022, according to explosive cell phone records obtained by NBC's Dateline. I want to know what he talked to his dad about. The calls begin at 6:17 a.m., which would have been 9:17 Michael and Mary Ann's time, his parents, like East Coast time, because he would have been in Washington. So it says just 2 hours after Koberger is accused of murdering the 4 students at around 4 a.m., and each lasted up to 54 minutes. What exactly the father and son spoke about remains a mystery. It is also unclear if this was typical behavior of Koberger, I asked that myself, to call his father at that time. Koberger's parents live in Pennsylvania, which is 3 hours ahead of Pullman, making the first call around 9 a.m. for Michael. Following those calls to his father, Koberger allegedly returned to the scene of the murders with his phone pinging off a cell phone tower close to the 1122 King Road at 9:12 a.m. Just 1 hour after that, at around 10:31 a.m., the quadruple homicide suspect was back at his Pullman, Washington apartment, where he snapped a creepy selfie posing with his thumbs up and an eerie smile as he stood in front of his shower. That smile is kind of eerie, though. A little creepy, the smile is. Over another hour passed before the bloodbath was discovered at 1122 King Road, and the now haunting 911 call was placed just before midday. The shocking revelation of the call records comes after prosecutors revealed they planned to call some of Koberger's own family members to testify against him at trial. Which family members will testify for the prosecution and why remain a closely guarded secret? In the 2+ years since his arrest, the Koberger family has kept a low profile. The only public comments ever made by the family was a statement released immediately after his arrest where they said they care deeply for the 4 families who have lost their precious children. They don't now, because they said they don't want nothing to do with the prosecution. They want nothing to do with helping the prosecution. But it says right here that they were cooperating fully with the investigation, and that as a family, we love and support our son and brother. Okay. In the April court hearing, Koberger's lawyers revealed that the family continues to support him and has no interest in helping the prosecution in its case. New details have emerged about Koberger's online activity and behaviors around the time of the murders include creepy selfies and disturbing corn and serial killer searches. According to Dateline, Koberger made several searches around serial killer Ted Bundy, who was put to death for a string of murders, including the killings of female students in a sorority house in Florida. On August 16, 2022, 3 months before the murders, Koberger allegedly Googled Ted, I think that's supposed to be Bundy, and one of his professors, including a paper she had written about Bundy. In the days after the murders, Koberger, on multiple occasions, then also allegedly watched shows about the serial killer. On December 28, 2022, just 3 days before his arrest, Koberger then also allegedly watched a YouTube show named Ted Bundy, Essence of a Psychopath. After watching that, Koberger snapped a series of other selfies. These haunting images show the man soon to be charged with the brutal quadruple homicide, dressed in a black hoodie and staring into the camera. The photo Dateline reveals appears to impersonate the hooded image of Bundy on the show he had watched that day. He also searched and listened to Britney Spears' song Criminal. Man. Of all the songs, I don't know, of all the songs, come on. Not even his own rap, you know? Other online searches after the murder show the suspect was researching the killings as well as his own name, the show reported. Koberger had also searched for pornography that included the words sleeping and drugged. He also had a trove of images of female students from WSU and U of I, many of them in bikinis. The images Dateline reported appeared to have been taken from social media accounts of students who followed or were friends with either Coronel Gonzalez or Mogen. Sources close to the investigation told Dateline that the intended target of the attack is believed to be Mogan, based in part on the path the killer allegedly took after entering the home, going straight up to her room on the third floor. It has now emerged that a sixth young woman was also supposed to be staying in the home that night, but a last-minute decision saved her life. Ashley Couch's mom, Angela Nevaez, told DailyMail.com that Couch was best friends with Mogan and was the sixth roommate still on the lease at the King Road house at the time of the murders. Couch had moved out of the home in the summer of 2022 after graduating early, but she would often return to Moscow to spend weekends with her friends and would stay with Mogan when she did. She had planned to visit that weekend, but her mom was on vacation in Florida, and Hurricane Nicole had hit the Sunshine State, derailing her journey home. Nevaez asked her daughter to stay at home and look after their dogs, and so the senior canceled her plans to join her friends. The last-minute cancellation may have saved her life. Yeah. Yeah, it sure probably could have. It probably did, because she probably would have been in the one in the bed with her. You know? Maybe all three of them would have been sleeping together, but, I don't know. The bed wasn't that big. Okay, I'm going to pull up the document. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Man, Daily Mail will get you with these little side things. I'm like, what they talking about over here? So 3 new documents came out tonight. Oh, my camera. Hey Trips. So yeah, yeah, it's a Britney song. It's not even like, I don't even remember Criminal. I don't remember that song. I'm gonna have to listen to it. Still haven't listened to it. I don't know why I either haven't. So like I said, 3 new documents came out, and 2 of them are document and records hold order, and one's for the defense and one's for the prosecution. So they read exactly the same. I just happened to pull up them, and I was pulling them up in order. And so I have the one for the defense. So we'll just go over that one. And it's going to read as if I'm talking to the defense and to the prosecution, because they both are supposed to be following this order. And I've never read a records hold order before, so first time for everything. Well, I read it earlier, but let me exit out some of this stuff. Okay. Let me blow this up for you guys so everybody can see this beautiful document. There's Ashley. I hope you start to feel better. So State of Idaho versus Brian Koberger. Document and records hold order defense. Based on sensitive information not previously publicly circulated that was reported during a recent Dateline TV program related to this case and the defendant, Brian Koberger, it appears likely that someone violated this court's non-dissemination order. So to me, that says Dateline was telling the truth. Because if Dateline wasn't telling the truth, I think this judge would just be like, that's just another place not telling, like, that's just another news agency not telling the truth. I don't think he'd be digging, saying, who did it? Who did it? I wonder if we'll find out. Such violations not only undermine the rule of law, potentially by persons charged with upholding it, but also significantly impede the ability to see an impartial jury, and will likely substantially increase the cost to try this case by extending the time it will take to seat a jury and potentially requiring a lengthy period of juror sequestration. Importantly, such violations potentially frustrate the ability to ensure both sides receive a fair trial. Accordingly, the court finds it imperative to attempt to see that the source of the leak is identified and held to account, and that doing so is the best deterrent to future violations. Accordingly, the courts find it appropriate to exercise its discretion by entering this order. It is hereby ordered that all persons who at any time, past or present, work directly or indirectly by employment, contract, consolation, or otherwise for or on behalf of defendant Brian Kohlberger or his defense counsel or otherwise engaged in the investigation of the murders that are subject of the instant case on their behalf are hereby prohibited from deleting, discarding, overwriting, destroying, altering, or otherwise making unavailable any, whether electronic or in material form, records, files, documents, metadata, messages, emails, text messages, direct or private messages, phone logs, or logs of communication, regardless of whether made or kept on a work-owned or personal account, device, or messaging app, that in any way relate to or document the fact or substance of communications with third persons, including representatives of the media or other persons or entities outside of law enforcement, which communications in any way relate to, refer to, or concern the investigation or defense of Brian Kohlberger. The fact or allegations uncovered or reported to law enforcement or defense counsel concerning Brian Kohlberger or the investigation into the homicides that are subject of the current or then potential criminal prosecution of Brian Kohlberger, collectively documents or singularly a document. Like he is not messing around. He is not leaving anything out. Like he is not going to like this little Post-it note, you know what I mean? And he's like, nope, the Post-it note stays. And Bill, both of you. All documents or materials or records that could potentially constitute a document, even if it's uncertain whether such meet that criteria, like a Post-it note, it's a document, shall be preserved and must be protected from deletion, alteration, or loss until further order of the court. Any feature on any device or account that is said to automatically delete or overwrite information that could be covered by this order must immediately be disabled. He ran up to his office quick and was typing this out. It is further ordered that within 7 days, the lead defense counsel shall submit to the court in camera a list of all individuals within their team, past or present, who are known to have had access to any facts related to the investigation of defendant, including but not limited to surveillance videos of suspect vehicle 1, the AT&T records for defendant's cell phone, and the content of defendant's cell phone and other electronic devices and social media accounts, including internet search history, photographs, and information associated with defendant's Amazon account or any information referenced in the above-mentioned Dateline episode regarding this case. Counsel is further required to provide a copy of this order to all such individuals and document that it has done so. Failure to comply with this order may be a basis for a finding of contempt of court and such other civil and criminal consequences as may be appropriate. And he signed it today. Look at that signature. He was meaning business. Meaning business. I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, they're going to refuse to provide their source, I bet, Squeaky. Yeah. They'll say we're trying to, trying to protect our integrity over here. I mean, I don't know. I guess they could get a subpoena, right? That'd probably be the best way to do it. Won't they just Squeaky? Instead of them having go through all the why don't they just do that? Subpoena NBC and Dateline. Say, give me the source. I don't know. That might be hard. That might be hard because protected under First Amendment. I don't know how that works. But you think in a case like this where there's a gag order, it wouldn't be as hard to get something like that, right? But then again, I don't know. That's something I don't know. Okay, so then they ordered, this is just an order regarding May 15th, 2025 hearing. And I was just going to read this out to you. It just says, the purpose of this order is to explain the reason for the sealed hearing this morning, May 15th, 2025, held to inform the parties about the orders to maintain records in the court entered today and to determine whether a sealed hearing was needed at the end of today's opening hearing to discuss jury selection questions. Okay, was that why you guys were late this morning? Because y'all were really late. Yeah, Jenna, most journalists won't. And I don't know if they'll be able to like make them. Can I pet that signature? That signature's awfully pretty. Oh, look at this one. See, look. Stephen Hippler. Look at this one. Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm telling you, he was mad when he signed this. Look at this. These were done on the same day. He must have cooled down for a minute after he to get okay, so you got your eye on that one, right? And then look at this one. Almost did your staff sign this for you, Hippler? Hey, SSD. And Doodlebug, I meant to say hey to you earlier. I saw you come in. I was like, oh, Doodlebug. In my head, I said that. Hey, Zuper. I've heard of that, baby girl, actually, with the onion. I'm trying to think of something you could do. If I'm ever sick, I always just be taking the NyQuil and the DayQuil, but I haven't in a long time. Yeah, like onion on your feet. That's what I've heard too. I think Hippler's getting mad at everybody. I think he's mad that there's stuff that's come out, I don't think he appreciated that very much. But I lost my arm there. I did see this because I wanted to go over the stuff that I was trying to remember everything that they had said in the Dateline episode. And this was from a day ago. Oh wow, they got episode 251K. Really? There's no way. But it says talking Dateline, the terrible night on King Road, and it is Blaine Alexander. I don't know who that was, but she sits down with Keith Morrison and they talk about the latest episode, the one they just did on Friday. And it says here, and features never before reported evidence, including video, photographic, and digital materials. Keith tells Blaine what Dateline has learned about Brian Kohlberger, the criminology student accused of the murder, and his apparent fascination with serial killer Ted Bundy. He also shares audio from interviews with the murdered students, families, and friends who reflect on the young lives lost. Plus, Keith answers viewer and listener questions. So maybe it'll answer some good questions. Let me get it to where we need to be. And then since it is a podcast, I'll put up pictures of, just the 1122 or something. I'll put up some pictures of, that are related. So let me share this with you. And then fast forward this.
Christian University in Butte.
Oops.
Your alignment in charge.
And then I'll turn it up.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
It's Blaine Alex.
It is on there and it is ready. If you guys don't mind, hey, Sweetly Morbid. Hey, Lord Mom, I don't know if I said hi to you. If you guys don't mind, hit the like button for your girl. It does help me out a lot. I appreciate you guys all being here. I think we can get over 100 likes. I think we could do that for me. I don't ask for a whole lot, do I? I don't think I do. I hope I don't. But while you're at it and you're hitting that like button, make sure you go over there and you check to make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because we need you to subscribe. We need you to hit the like. We need you to hit the subscribe tonight, boys and girls. And I'm gonna play this, and then since it's just it's not visual, there's no visuals, it's just listening podcast, I will put up some overlays. That way you guys can see something different than just this.
Xander, and we are talking Dateline.
And I'll turn it up for you guys
joined by
too.
the one and only Keith Morrison to talk about his latest episode, The Terrible Night on King Road. Hi, Keith.
Hi, how are you? And it's nice to see you and hear you too, for those who aren't seeing you.
Good to see you and hear you too, my friend. So before we jump in, if you haven't seen it, it's the episode right below this one on your Dateline podcast feed. So make sure to go there, listen to it, or stream it on Peacock, and then come right back here. Now, just to recap, in the early morning hours of November 3rd,
you can listen to this episode on Apple. So like if you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, I know some of you guys didn't get a chance to watch it. You guys can totally watch it off of here. I'll put the it says listen to the full episode, The Terrible Night on King Road on Apple. I mean, I think this is everybody's Apple. I'll put it in the chat. We'll see what happens. It'll like take you to my personal Apple account or something. Hopefully not. Like, let me go to that, make sure. No, I think it takes you right over to that. So then you can listen to it if you can't watch it.
13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were found stabbed to death in their home. With the trial of Brian Koberger, the man accused of killing the students, now just 12 weeks away, Keith and his team revealed the results of their groundbreaking 2-year investigation into this case. The episode sheds incredible new light on the murders and just what happened that night on King Road. For this Talking Dateline, we want to tell you, of course, a little bit more about who those 4 students were that were murdered that night through the eyes of those who loved them best. Okay, let's talk Dateline, Keith.
Right.
Before we jump into this discussion, I think it's important to note that this episode is so different from the episodes and stories that we typically do on Dateline, right? Because by the time we get our hands on a story, usually the case is adjudicated. Somebody has either been found guilty or acquitted. And that is, of course, not the case here.
Usually, yes, that's correct. Occasionally we will do a series of stories, as we have done in this case, soon after a crime occurs, and then kind of follow it through the process as it leads toward trial. In this case, every detail is being fought out in court. It's one in which we have had to be very, very careful in the way we do it. And we understood from the start and continue to understand, and I think everybody needs to understand that in our court system, the man accused in this case is innocent until and unless he's proven guilty. And so everything we report is based on that premise. We have gathered material from extremely reliable sources who we trust. These sources are backed up by other sources. It's all pretty carefully vetted. We've done our very best to make sure that we're totally accurate. So it's the pure information in this story that we are very happy to have been able to report.
Sure. There are a lot of different sensitivities when it comes to reporting a story like this, when it comes to the story that you and your team aired, and even when it comes to our conversation here.
Oh, yes, there really are. It's it's just something you want to be careful about. That's all that I want to be careful about. So my answers may seem a little cagier than usual. It's not that they're cagey, it's just that I don't want to say anything wrong.
There's nothing cagey about you, Keith Morrison. All good.
Well, sometimes a little bit cagey.
Maybe. Let's dive in, because I think that another thing that was different about this story is sometimes when we present stories to our audience, this may be the first time that many people have heard about this case. Obviously not the case here. If anybody has consumed any bit of news over the past 2+ years, at least in some part, have some degree of familiarity with this case out of Idaho. So when you do a story like this, when people really are hanging on every small detail of this, certainly when you're able to advance a story the way that you have, that's a remarkable thing.
Well, yes. And, one of the facts of this case is that there's a gag order. Now, some people wonder whether a gag order prevents us from doing our reporting, and it does not. We can continue to ferret out what information we can.
I mean, the big question in all of this, and from the beginning, has been, who is Brian Koberger? And in this episode, you described him as a man who lived in the shadows.
To some degree, perhaps. He was known to spend a lot of time alone. He was known to like to be out at night by himself. He seemed attracted to the darkness, and that was just an aspect of his personality, which may or may not have meant anything. But lives in the shadows might be a little strong, but he was somebody who, was socially awkward, at least as people described it to us. At the same time, his professors said that he was one of the brightest people, or some of them, his past professors especially, one of the brightest students they ever had. And because he was studying criminology and getting a PhD in criminology, it made sense that he was studying some subjects which might be considered very dark, very difficult, very scary to some people, and that might have a perfectly reasonable explanation. But he was an odd fella.
You know, in talking about his chosen field of study, criminology, I have to say that when I was watching your story and when you reported about the Google searches that were found on his phone,
right?
This you know, some of the questions: can psychopaths behave prosocially, and sociopathic traits in college student? I have to say that when I saw that, I thought, okay, maybe it means, again, if he is in fact guilty of the crimes of which he's being accused, did he in some way know that maybe there was something off about him, and perhaps he was engaged in that field of study to understand or lean into it?
It may well be. That's the conclusion that has been reached by experts we've spoken to about human behavior who've looked at that, have suggested that's the most likely explanation. Speaking of explanations, someone could look at this and say, okay, maybe there wasn't an explanation for this, or maybe there was. Ted Bundy was a name that came up a lot in this story. There were a lot of searches related to. Just for those who maybe need a refresher, remind us who Ted Bundy was. Well, Ted Bundy was a prolific serial killer who was killing university students and college girls. But as a character, he has fascinated numbers of people, certainly Kohlberger, but also fascinated some of Kohlberger's professors. Still, it went beyond merely looking up Bundy a lot and being interested in him a good deal. The messages that he uploaded about whether or not he was normal, whether he ever could be normal in this society, all suggested sort of that he was feeling that he didn't belong, but also that if he did belong to anybody, maybe he belonged more to the cadre that would be a Ted Bundy sort of character. And again, somewhat amorphous, but that's how it looked. You talked to people who had what most of us would call just kind of chance run-ins with Bryan Kohberger. I mean, at a pool party, I loved the PhD DJ. That was my favorite title ever. I would like to go to a party that he's DJing. He seems like fun. I was very interested, though, that they just kind of had these little snapshots of him, just little, interactions. But even from then, it sounded like some of them said, hey, that just small interaction was kind of off, was kind of strange. Yes, and they, how much did they think about it at the time? I'm not entirely sure. After the case became famous and Bryan Kohberger was arrested, all of that stuff came rushing back to them, and they thought, yeah, he was a very odd dude. So let's talk about some of the evidence that you bring forward in this groundbreaking episode. I mean, of course, and we need to say that, yes, this is evidence. He's been accused of these crimes. A judge has entered a not guilty plea on his behalf, but in this episode, you lay out some additional evidence that could point to his alleged involvement in these murders. Most people know how his DNA was found on the knife sheath at the crime scene. That's kind of a famous piece of evidence. But talk about some of the other pieces of evidence that came out here. Well, what we were most struck by was the video that we were able to obtain showing the white car in the vicinity of the house at 1122 King Road in the minutes leading up to the murder. We have the precise, minutes and seconds where the car appeared, kind of cruised by the house until finally the car pulled into what appeared to be the only place it could be, would be 1122 King Road. Although you can't actually see 1122 King Road in the video. Yeah. But there really couldn't be any other place it would be. If I could jump in real quick, talk about that white sedan. I mean, you talk about it in the episode, but what was with the back and forth and the back and forth? That was very chilling to me. Well, right. It's a white car the police believe is the white Elantra that belonged to Bryan Kohberger. Right. But the defense may well be able to point out that you can't really tell exactly what kind of car it is. You see these headlights. You can tell it's a white car. That's about it. Our FBI profiler and the psychologist who looked at it both said, oh, he's just kind of steeling himself. He's getting ready. He's saying, can I do this? Can I do this? And then he decided it was time. Maybe I can't, maybe I can't, maybe I can, maybe I can't. One of the things that I thought was an effective piece of storytelling and reporting in this, Keith, was this animation that your team put together to kind of spell out how your investigative sources believe this crime took place.
And I have to say, for a lot of our audience who only kind of consumes these stories via podcast and doesn't actually look at the episode, go back. This is one that you need to go back, find on Peacock, and actually look at this animation, because it tells us a lot.
It was a complicated situation. The house isn't laid out like most houses would be. And the killer would have come in basically halfway up the house and then immediately made a beeline up the stairs to the top floor where Maddie Mogan maybe slept.
One of the experts that you spoke with also talked about social media intel that one would have gathered, right? That the victims, the young ladies, posted a lot on social media.
Yes.
All of these strange things that one wouldn't necessarily think of could have been actual clues to help the killer understand the layout of this house, which is very chilling. When we get back, Kaylee was spontaneous. Maddie was an old soul. We're going to play some clips from interviews with family and friends of the 4 victims to get to know them a little bit better. That's when we get back.
This episode is brought.
What if clear vision was...
Holiday present.
Texts between 2 of the surviving roommates show that they knew something was wrong. They were upset. They were trying to figure out what was happening. Yet it seems that it took a long time for 911 to be called.
Which has been a source of speculation and accusation ever since this occurred. And it continues to be. They never did call 911 until hours and hours after this occurred. And people wonder why that is so and what they're hiding or whatever. The one young woman who did several points about this. The one young woman who did see the killer and who talked about him having bushy eyebrows, which is a very important point that the prosecution intends to use in this case against Brian Koberger, who has bushy eyebrows. You can certainly see them in that selfie he took soon after the killings. The other one is why they didn't call or do anything for so very long. And the fact is that they had been partying virtually all night long. So it's unclear exactly what was going on in the house, but it's reasonable to assume that these 2 very young people hear this commotion upstairs, see some evidence of a terrible thing having occurred, but are not prepared in their minds to believe it could have actually been a terrible thing. You can't really, that doesn't happen, so you're not going to believe it. You see somebody lying on the floor. Well, I've seen people lying on the floor after parties before. They're always, they passed out. It's just, it's a little more understandable that they would have gone on for so long.
If there's one thing that I've learned in my so far brief time with Dateline, it's that no matter in all of these stories, we never know what we are going to do or what anyone will do when confronted with a scene like this, coming upon someone that they know or that they love that has been brutally killed. We don't know what you would do, what I would do, what any of our audience would do. And you can speculate all you want, of course, but you certainly don't know until you are faced with such an unimaginable moment. And so shock, who knows? It's easy to kind of look and say, oh, call 911, but you just don't know what one feels in that moment.
I'll tell you about one little minor incident that occurred where I had a car broken into, smashed the windows. And, but in the course of time between the time I made that call to the police and the time they arrived, I did all the wrong things. And yet I'd been for decades doing these kinds of stories where I knew what the right things actually were to do, but you lose yourself. You just don't think rationally for the first couple of minutes unless you really are, you say right away to yourself, okay, I've got to behave rationally and record this properly. So, I'm looking through the bushes, I'm messing about with things, I'm inside the car, rummaging around, doing all the wrong things. And, so eventually the police said, well, there's not much we can do about these things anyway, but especially now.
You've made it even more difficult. We spoke earlier about these 4 students, and I'm going to say their names because we want to dedicate some time to hear from their family, their friends, those who knew them best, about just who they were. So Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zaina Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, you got a chance to speak with their friends, their family, about who they were. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, they were certainly smart young people, and they were going places, all of them. A couple of them were just about ready to graduate. They had jobs lined up already. The others had a little bit more time to go. Their parents saw them as very responsible people. They were living a college kid's life, but they were also getting high grades, all of them. They were headed for good careers. And they, all of them, cared deeply about their families. And so they were the kind of kids you would be proud to have. I think that's about the best I can say about them, because I didn't know them personally, but that certainly is what others have said about them.
Well, let's listen to some of their family and friends. Let's listen to some of the people who knew them best.
I loved Kaylee. She was honestly such an amazing friend.
Kaylee, she was very competitive. She was very spontaneous. You could wake her up in the middle of the night and say, hey, pack your bags. We're going to Mexico in the morning. And she would be like, are you serious? Let's go.
So Maddie was the youngest out of the friend group, because those girls were very, very tight-knit. But Maddie she always seemed to be like the oldest of the group. She just had a very old soul. Just super smart and intelligent and very wise for her age, I would say.
I miss her potential and her sweetness and this grounded energy that she really made people feel seen, and like what they were doing mattered and made a difference.
Xana was beautiful. She was always smiling. There's this video we found where she's just spinning in a 360 with this huge smile. And you just want to know that person, because she was just full of life.
I just want people to remember Ethan as someone who would put a smile on your face.
When we do stories like this, I think that all of us can kind of identify with this being on the cusp of stepping into life, right?
Yes.
This kind of the excitement, the sense of excitement, being on the verge of realizing your potential.
No, it's very true. There is that point of launching into life. It's so very exciting and frightening at the same time.
Yeah.
Can I do this? Can I do this? Well, yes, I'm going to try. And it's a wonderfully exciting time, and to be cut off like that in the midst of it, it's just a horrific thing.
Truly. For the many people who know the details of this case and who know these names of these beautiful young lives, it is in connection to these murders. And I think that has to also present a specific and special kind of pain for their families, I would imagine.
Yes. That's the last thing they want, is for their daughters and son to be associated with this killing.
Yeah.
And yet it's a tide. You can't stop the tide.
Mm-hmm. Up next, we're taking your questions from social media.
Required. See carecredit.com.
Weed Whacker Guy!
Yeah. Well, imagine. Let's hear from...
And the winner by knockout is Saturday! Saturday, bring it on!
We had a lot of social media comments on this episode, as you could well imagine. Let's hear from Gail Sorensen. She said, wow, we really got a lot more of the story that we didn't know about before. Keith, you're the best.
Oh, well, that's very kind of her. Thank you.
We have an audio question. Let's take a listen to this one.
Hi, Dateline. It's Jabor Michael Estefan. I'm calling from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, of course he is.
I was reaching out to say...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He sounds like he's from Allentown. My dad was from Allentown.
Ask if you had any chance to contact Dr. Catherine Ramsland, the professor at DeSales University here in Pennsylvania. She has a wealth of knowledge on Kohberger, and she was his professor at DeSales. Thank you, and again, great episode, and all the best to Shane Bishop and all your producers. Thank you.
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, we certainly are aware of Catherine Ramsland. She is a very well-known researcher into serial killers. One of the foremost experts on the BTK killer and others. But so Catherine Ramsland was Brian Kohberger's professor. She recommended him for his PhD. and she elected not to be part of our story. We are not sure yet. It's going to be up to her what role she plays or doesn't play in his trial.
There is an interesting question that I want to ask you, but I'm sure you'd love to answer it. Does Keith write his own questions?
Well, yes and no. And is the answer to that question. I work with, as we all do, we work with some of the best producers in television today. So we collaborate. But that said, once you're sitting in front of a camera, you ask the questions you're going to ask.
That's exactly it. We have to be nimble. And I should say that question is from Jennifer Hart, but the interview goes where the interview goes. I mean, there have been times when I bring all sorts of things out that were never written down just based on the answers that you get. And you have to listen actively to elicit the best response.
Always, yes. Intensively listen.
A lot of comments that we heard from our viewers about why it's taken so long for this to go to trial. The murders, of course, happened in November of 2022. Trial is set for August of 2025.
Right.
Phoenix Lopez Harmon writes, what is taking so long? Is it because this is a death penalty case? And it's important to point out that these trials are not instantaneous.
Yeah, for a death penalty case, I think this is relatively quick. But there are cases which are far, far less serious than this one that can take even longer to get to court.
This has been a fascinating discussion, Keith, talking about this case, but also talking about how you were able to bring us the story. So thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you. Thank you. I like talking to you, Blaine.
I like it too. I'm enjoying this, Keith. And that is it for Talking Dateline this week. Remember, if you've got any questions for us about stories or about Dateline, you can always reach us 24/7 on social media at Dateline.
Let me take his picture down and then get my picture up here. I feel like I'm really close whenever I have it full screen. I feel like I don't know. I don't know if you guys like it better full screen or if you like it better with the little things in the background. And my background changed again. I don't know. It just keeps changing on its own. Because remember earlier it said please subscribe at the bottom and it was like a goldish background. This is my normal background. I don't know. It's weird. And I can't find my background with my little doggy. Jingles. I can't find Jingles. Jingles is gone. Hey, Roxanne. Can we get 13 more likes? I think we can. I could be like a creator and be like, I'm not going to leave this live until I get them. And then I don't understand how that works, because then it's like, well, I'll just leave the live then. Oh, thanks, Ishi. What happens if by chance BK is found innocent? Where does it go from there? Then he just walks out of jail, free man, and then he goes and gets a book deal and a movie deal and civil suits. Yep. Like OJ, yeah. I mean, I wonder if they'll be how OJ, there's food vendors all lined up. I wonder if it's going to be like that for this case. I bet it is. I bet the grub truck goes. If I was the grub truck, I would go. I don't know if that'd be insensitive, but I probably would go. Just because I would want to see the trial and it'd give me a reason to be there. If I could get a permit or something, And then I would take the money that I made and I would give that to the families of the victims or do some sort of something with you know what I mean? That's good for the victims. You think he'll get the DP? I don't know, Christina. I'm on the fence about it. I'm on the fence if they'll try to work out some sort of deal. But I don't know. I don't see him I don't really see him taking a deal. I don't see Kohlberger telling Ann Taylor he wants a deal at the same time. Because she says he's not helping her with this case at all. But then she writes her files and her she writes her motions and stuff the defendant is talking instead of her talking. And it's I don't know. There is a lot of damning evidence. Oh, Judy Rodnett, we're talking about going for a few days. They might be able to get in. I don't know though. They said that they're going to have they're going to let the families in and then journalists and media. And then after that, they'll have like a lottery for people that want to like be there. Like, I don't even know how that's going to work. Like, because I would want to know like months in advance, right? I would want to know right now. It's May. If I was going to be going to a trial in August, I would at least want to know by like June, July. You know, like, I mean, July is pushing it because you have to get like accommodations. You got to get hotel, or like, an Airbnb. You probably would want an Airbnb because you're going to be staying there for a while. So you'd want somewhere to like cook food and like do all that because you don't want to eat out every night because that'd be expensive. That'd be so expensive. They were there for the Murdoch trial. You're right, Janet. Yep, they sure were. That was a trial, wasn't it, though? And now he might get another one. I ain't watching him cry and snot again on the stand. Oh, yes. Judy Ron. Well, I don't know. He was sick, but then I thought he was okay. I thought his test came back like he was good, but let me know. I hope he's not. Is that a fly? I swear I just saw a fly. That's what it is. I bet it's because I had the back door open all day. He did, Jenna. That's all he cried, my Maggie, Paul. That's what I call Mia Mimi. That's why. Like, she got her nickname because of old Alec Murdaugh. I can't believe females find him attractive either. That's just personal opinion, you know, like if he's innocent or if he's guilty, not my cup of tea. I mean, he was, though, for that one girl, if you think about it, like the Asian girl that was, was in the same office as him. She, I guess, kind of like gave the impression that maybe she wanted to be a little bit more, but he was like not reciprocating that. Maybe he has a type. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like if we look at those pictures, I might have to get those Dateline pictures off of there somehow. So we can look at the people. We won't be able to see their faces, but we can see their bodies, see what kind of like, maybe he has a certain body type. Not my shot of whiskey. No, me neither. Beauty is subjective. Is. I like the nerdy guys. I can't deal with Alec again and that court reporter. Yes, she's cooked herself too. I'm like, I don't know. I think that if he does go on trial again, we may have to watch it just because I want to see how many mints he takes this time. I thought he was popping pills during the trial. I was like, what is he taking, y'all? And they're like, everyone's like, it's just mints. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was. I mean, he said he took 150 pills or something a day. Remember? Like he was like, I took like 80 oxys every day. And I'm like, you would not be standing. And man, you had a lot of money to be spending, you know? There's a lot of women defending Diddy. There's a lot of court reporters defending him. And I'm like, we're not doing that. I thought about doing some Diddy stuff on my other channel. Yeah, the Murdaughs, they own that town. I mean, they had to take his grandfather's picture off of the wall. His grandfather was like the high up in, he was a judge. His dad was a judge, everybody a judge. Except for, Alec. It's crazy. He had the life of a lot. Hey, Curtis, a lot of people would want. 2 healthy kids, beautiful wife. She seemed lovely. I don't know. She seemed okay. And then he just unalives her. I mean, the Snapchat, that was like a Perry Mason moment. Yeah. Did you see that, Roxanne, that they put out the full video? Like the full 15 minutes of it? I didn't watch the full 15 minutes, but I saw in the beginning of it and I'm like, you're just wanting to yell at her, like to run down the stairs, like forget the elevator, Cassie, forget the elevator. Like, that's, it's sad. I can't watch it either. It's just too much what he did to her. I liked her music, and I always I always wonder why she never had more music, and now we're learning the reason why, because she wasn't allowed to do music. She was a slave for that. Yes, solicitors, yeah, that's what they were. Janet, you're right. People defend it, yeah. Yeah, he was embezzling money. Yep. He took 5 million or 3 million or something from them boys. From the house worker getting killed in his house. Or the maid. And remember her 2 sons, like they weren't like, I guess I don't know if both of them were, but they, like one of them I don't think was like mentally capable of like knowing exactly what was like kind of going on. Like he knew what was going on, but like, the gravity of like this guy just took 3 million from you guys. Or it was like something ridiculous like that. Yeah. Is she? I bet you have a lot of those guys putting down there. Yeah, I saw the video and then I didn't see the whole 15-minute of it, but I saw like a snippet of it. Yeah, the nanny. It's been such a long time. You know what? That was like still one of the best videos I have on my page. I think it still is. We did like 2 Murdoch documentaries, and I think they have like one of them has like 40,000 views or something, and that's like the most I've gotten on this channel. But I was like, dang. Oh, Gloria, that's her name. Yeah, Gloria. That's sad. That's that case was sad. But it was also like it was very fulfilling because of the whole, I've got this Snapchat video with you on it. Like you said you're not there and you sealed your fate. Oh, really? That's when you came to true crime? Really? And I didn't know that. I came here because of Kylie Rodney. $25 day habit. Well, $25 isn't as much as Alec was spending. He was spending I don't even know how much that would be a day. Christine, you watched that trial? Yeah, we streamed it on the channel. As soon as Nancy Grace got there, I mean, it was hilarious. She was like this, just like staring at the back of his head. Kylie Rodney was a really sad case. That was the case that brought me to true crime. And then when everything was kind of like said and done with that case, in a way, I just remember standing there like in the same spot, like after I got like the accident report, like the reports and stuff, and I'm reading through them, and it felt like I had like hit a brick wall because for the first time in like 2 months, I wasn't like running around in circles. Like, what do I need to find out? What do I need to find out about, Kylie, or what do I need to find out about this or that, or, and it's going to be like that with this case too, I think, because we've been covering it for so long, but at least it'll have a finale, I guess, in a way. But I'm going to jump off here. I will be back on tomorrow evening. I may go on my second channel tomorrow and maybe we'll do some Diddy stuff over there. I know that Nancy Grace has been covering it like it's her job, which it is her job. Let's see if she covered it tonight too. I bet you she did. She's covered it every night. Yeah. She's covered it every single night for the last, I think since the trial started. So 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. Just seems like a longer than that, I think. Yeah, 3 days. 1, 2, 3, 4 videos though. We might have to read through or like listen through those, but yeah. Ooh. And the last one she just put out probably won't even be out on YouTube for like a couple days. So maybe we'll go over that one. Because sometimes it goes on the podcast before. See, we only need 3 more likes. That's all we need. We just need 3 more people just to touch that button or click it. Or, I mean, however you got to do it, you know. 2 more likes. Look at that. See, we just gotta pressure everybody. We just gotta pressure everybody. I'm 99. See, we only need 1 like. Look at that deal. Don't you want to be the 100th person to make it all better, to make me feel just came in and liked it. Thanks, Courtney. Oh, we're getting ready to get off here now. You'll have to rewind. It was a good live. It was a good live. Click that thumbs up though. It's 100. Oh, we're at 104 now. Look at you guys. I love you. Thank you for doing that. That makes me happy. Look at that. You made my night. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to any new videos I put out. I do go live every evening on this channel at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about true crime. And I do have another channel called Unfiltered with Tanya. If you want to head over there, it's just unfiltered side of myself. And yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow on the live. If I don't go on the live tomorrow during the day, if I do, I'll put a community post up. But if I don't, you just won't see anything. You just be like, oh, where's she at? But I will be on tomorrow night. But thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Oh, and tomorrow's Friday. So happy Friday to you, almost in an hour. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got